13 years ago, I decided to sit in some house in Virginia my senior year of high school and make a couple videos with this tiny-ass little camera that evolved into what you're watching now. And 12 years before that, the Deftones dropped a record that saw them burgeoning out from their foundations and finding their own sonic identity amidst the crop of alt and nu metal that was burgeoning at the time into an album that I'm going to be ranking the songs of today. I'm talking about their 1997 sophomore outing, Around the Fur, that shares an anniversary with when I started to post videos on this YouTube channel. Sure, I didn't really find my footing until late November, early December with what I really wanted to make videos about, but I still started now, so we're celebrating it now, both in this video and on some live streams that may have already happened / could also be happening more tonight, depending on what gets accomplished during those live streams. But today I'm going to be ranking Around the Fur, worst to best. Not my favorite Deftones album, but in my top 4 for damn sure. You know, it's strange. I think the closer MX is a fine enough album cut, if not a little strangely placed. I don't think it's as good of a closer as the collaboration that came forward in the track listing does, and honestly, its absence on the album wouldn't feel all that missing to me personally. It's fine. I feel like the mix of the female vocals with Chino's vocal style that he's been throttling out throughout this entire record is an interesting cocktail, if not one that I don't think works as well as any of the other ideas this album's had going on. I think that the bonus track at the end of it is whatever. It's the same kind of thing that you would see on albums of the era, and this just feels like, oddly enough, such a whippering closer on an album that's stacked with some pretty well done songs. I don't hate MX, but it's certainly the most average point of this album in my opinion. While I think it's got a great lead-in from the hazy outro of Mascara with Abe Cunningham's drum work and other components like the bass and guitars and the chorus, all playing into the strengths that this album has at its core, I feel like the title track is a moment that doesn't quite come together in the same aspect, in the same intensity that the highs of this album reaches. It's got that same odd verse, catchy chorus, pacing that there are a handful of cuts on the record that I'll talk about above this doing better. And I like the darkness within the lyrics here of deconstructing vanity and beauty in a really dark sense. And again, it kind of plays to the Deftones' strengths as a band in that regard. I just don't think that the cocktail that this song is concocting is quite as appetizing as one's done better in this album's track listing. It's still a great moment that the album has in its middle portion, and again, that lead-in lends really well to this album's pacing because there is a tightness at the core of the song that works. It just doesn't work as well as moments above it in the track listing. It's a fine enough song. Similarly to MX, I think it's a decent cut in its own regard. Just when comparing it to the rest of the track listing, it definitely falls a little flat in my opinion. An inverse on the sort of intense, intimate verse and catchy choruses, Dai the Flu makes a smooth verse with an antagonistic chorus to embody the jump the fuck up mentality that was in a lot of nu metal at around the time. I think that the bass line in the song rips, and I think that the verses are very nice and lead to a smooth transition into the amped up, energetic chorus of Dai the Flu that I think works incredibly well, especially at the pocket that it sits in the record. It is a smooth song by the by that has these elements syncing together so very well and embodying the genre that the album is representing wholeheartedly in the best way possible. I think that the hazy bridge adds to a lot of the elements the album's had cooking up in tracks as well and creates this good shoegazy influence even more reinforced that I think, again, the album utilizes a little more fruitfully in moments I ranked above this, but I think Dai the Flu is a really good song in the Deftones catalog that sort of embodies a lot of what this album has going on in its core as far as bridging the gap between Adrenaline's adolescent rawness to the heights they would reach from White Pony onward, without quite having the same chorus work that makes other tracks that do the same thing a little bit better. Now, originally, I had Mascara a lot lower on this list, but the thing that kept me coming back to this song, for all of its bittersweet ideas and its lyrics, because it's about Chino's then wife, who he loved, but didn't always love everything he was a part of, namely his passion, his music. I think that the instrumental backdrop kind of embodies that pseudo-bittersweetness that could be seen in some of the lyrics. I really like the leads here. In fact, I think the lead riff on this song, for as much as it kind of comes back and acts very cyclical in nature, embodies that sort of hodgepodge that was going on in the metal scene around the time with bands like Korn coming to prominence. The lead guitars on this sound not necessarily metal adjacent, but more alternative rock adjacent. You know, I could see the Breeders doing something with this lead riff and morphing it into something else entirely. Sure, it still has its booming chorus, but similarly to tracks like the title track, there's this juxtaposition that I don't think fully works, but keeps me coming back because I really like the components here. You know, I like the bass groove. I like the explosion when it happens, even if it feels like it doesn't go well with the leads. But the two parts are so strong that I think that they stand above everything that I've talked about thus far in the ranking. It's a place where the album sort of settles into its own bittersweet darkness, but I think it does so very well. And again, gives itself a nice lead-in into its darker tinged title track, in my opinion. This is so fly! You know, after this point, the band would collaborate with a handful of other artists throughout their career, Serge Tankian, Maynard James Keenan, and the like. But Head Up was their first collaboration with someone that was kind of in their scene, or seen as somebody that was kind of a legend by this point, because Max Cavalera wasn't in Sepultura anymore, but he was still an icon within metal, and I think that he and the band crafted the most new metal 1997 ass jump the fuck up anthem in Head Up. It's a song that I feel like should be the closer, because not only are its lead riffs fucking colossal and intense, and again Steven's guitars paired with Abe's drums create this energy that is just palpable. I feel like Chino and Max's trait growl vocals are also intense. Soulfly, the band, seemingly didn't necessarily get the name of the band from this song potentially, but it is here prior to the band starting to release music, so you can kind of make that inference. Along with also lyrically embodying some of that grief and pain that was seen throughout aspects of new metal in a way that I feel like still taps into where, again, early on in the genre's life could have been seen as influential. I love a lot of what's here. I think that, again, not only should this have been an outro because I think it's a great song and I think acts as a good closer better than MX, the extended bridge outro where they introduce a lot of other ideas also kind of help send the album off into the horizon in a way that feels so very intrinsically Deftones. I love this song. I think that it's awesome, and I think that similarly to Passenger and Mine, it just showcases the band does collaborative work incredibly well. I could have sworn I recorded a segment for Labia, but it must have gotten lost in the ether. I enjoyed the song a lot. I think similarly to tracks like Die the Flu, it's another smooth-ass song that transitions between the intimate verses and catchy choruses so very well. I think that the one thing that sets this track below the stuff that's above it is because while I love that this song kind of sets a precedent with this band, especially that they're going to have these tracks that are a mixture of like sensual and sexy with dark and morbid, like Digital Bath and Knife Party, that Chino's verse work is a bit ambiguous, and I feel like it's intentionally so. You know, the actual lyrics are that same level of darkness, but because of his whisper vocal style, it feels a bit more mysterious and
It's to the point that even in the lyric book for the like CD, the lyrics for this song aren't actually like written out because of Chino's vocal style, which I could see being a detractor for some people. It's definitely a minor one for me, but I can't help but deny that this track has a great riff, it has a great groove, and I think that it does, again, set a standard that the band would continue to explore in future releases very well. It's a good foundation for them to build upon.
A rager of a song with a sort of headspace that I can absolutely relate to. Ricketts sees this heavy-ass tune that at its core seems to be about being wrapped up in too much, thinking too much, feeding too much, being disenfranchised in your own self-conflict, you know, feeling like you're up in excess without, feeling like you're swept up in excess without a way out. It seems like all of life's, even simplicities, feel to be an over-encumbering experience for you. It's a really great song that I feel like is one of the better ragers on this project. A lot of this album's great moments are when they kind of tone it down or settle into a groove, but some of the pockets where they do pick up the intensity, similarly to like Die the Flu and Head Up, this definitely puts you in this intense headspace, but I think lyrically in tandem with that, it enhances that intense feeling tenfold. I love the leads on this. I love the bass groove on this track. I feel like the bass on this song in particular, especially in the chorus, is in-fucking-sane. And I think that it's a great, just head-banging song that honestly stands as one of Deftones' best, in my opinion.
This is called Lotion.
The closest this album gets to a diss track, another rager in the form of Lotion, I think similarly to Ricketts, the lead work on this is fantastic. I think the chorus and the refrain of the song, I Feel Sick, that morphs into I Feel Sicker as the song goes on, is awesome. While I don't necessarily know who the song is about, there's some real scathing lyricism in here that I think Chino delivers excellently. And I think that for a late album cut, this definitely comes in at a good pocket to kick up the energy and get the listener just ready to jump the fuck up. It is classic nu metal at its core, and it honestly welcomes in a pocket on the record where the listener is just getting swept up in the intensity in the best way possible. A song that sounds like you're singing to the sun itself before it swallows you whole. My Own Summer, Shove It, was the lead single for this record. It's an incredible tune. It's got great bass work. It's got an intense-ass riff that leads into the chorus incredibly well. Chino sounds awesome on here as far as that loud, soft dynamic that this album plays with the verses and chorus. This might be the best version of that. Chino's crooner moan in the verses works well with the groove before the guitar comes in and just swallows the listener with Chino's growl. The song is intense, this song is awesome, and I think the chorus is also a good showcase of that loud, soft dynamic in verse with the intense shove it before Chino comes in and sings the end of the chorus. I think it's a good proof of concept for the Deftones as a band, and I think it's a good lead single for this album as a whole. But the second single from this album, Be Quiet and Drive Far Away, a song based on the Depeche Mode song Never Let Me Down, tackles the disenfranchisement that nu metal talks about in a different sort of facet, in a way where all of the album's sonic elements sort of coerce into this masterpiece of a song. I like a lot of Around the Fur, and I've had a lot of positive things to say about it, and I like My Own Summer. I think that it's a good Deftones song, but if we're talking like one of the best songs that this band has ever written, Be Quiet and Drive Far Away is that. It's got a lead that melds shoegaze, alt metal, and even alternative rock into this beautiful melody. It's got this great guitar tone. Chino sounds awesome on this song. I think that the lyrics themselves, while very sparse, hit the same emotional strengths that make this album, or make this genre by and large compelling from an adolescent perspective, but transcends that to just a general feeling and desire of wanting to escape, wanting to break away from the insanity of your life. I love this song. I think it's beautiful. It is a song where on many late nights I have thrown it on and just let the guitars wash over me. I think that it's an insanely good song that easily stands far and above everything else on Around the Fur, while embodying a lot of what makes the album itself so different from a lot of what not only was going on in the scene, but where the Deftones catalog would end up. It is a masterful example of why the Deftones are one of my favorite metal bands and one of the best bands of the 90s, in my opinion. I think that it's an incredible song that if I were to give anybody a song from this album, it would be Be Quiet and Drive Far Away. It's incredible, I love it, and it's my favorite song on Around the Fur. And that's how I would rank this classic 90s metal smash. What would you rank the songs in? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like my rankings, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general nerdary content, be sure to subscribe. Thank you for everybody that's watched me throughout the years. Thank you to everybody that continues to watch me. Thank you to those that continue to engage with the stuff that I make. Thank you for supporting what I do. Thank you for just joining me on this journey with all of the ups and downs that it's had. Mac has the zoomies right now, so I'm going to go. But thank you again so very much for watching. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have a good day, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.